Man, we're still affected by the
Swamp
brutality. The brutality of fucking Swamp Thing. We're out of the zone,
We were
guy.
super awake. We were ready to go get a burger afterwards, and now we're literally hanging on for life.
Yeah, we just sat there. You were all grumpy and shit, shitting on classic films. And I was like, man, Swamp Thing did a dirty number on him.
Yeah, he did.
God damn it, man.
Yeah, I'm a Swamp Thing lover, too, and that was like a blow to the nuts, guy. It was
extra brutal.
Yes.
I was like trying to be optimistic and be like waxing philosophical on film. You're like, fuck you and your soul.
Yeah, I was, dude.
Time. Oh, got to get for you. Anything goes if it's out of line for a couple of coffee.
So, Swamp Thing, he's one of your most beloved comic book characters of all time. And so, naturally, you would gravitate to eventually watching the Swamp Thing movie. Now, full disclosure, you have watched it before.
Yeah.
And back then, your thoughts were, this stinks.
Well, there's an interesting backstory to that. I don't know if that's what you were getting to.
I don't know. I was just going to reiterate that. This time, you also said, this stinks.
Right? You just cut out the entire thought process. But I guess there's an interesting backstory in that I would never have become a Swamp Thing fan if it wasn't for this piece of shit movie.
Seeing it or just in general? You know, because let's say I was a kid. I didn't think of something when I was a kid. Okay. I started watching movies around 10 years old. It was mad late. You know what I'm saying? Like actually full movies.
You
right?
sure it wasn't straight out the womb?
It wasn't straight out the womb, guy.
All right.
Not gonna contextualize that joke, but if you know, you know. But anyway, it was around 9, 10 actually. I'm gonna say 9 actually. But it's still late to watch full ass movies. You know what I'm saying? But of course I was aware that they existed. So in my mind, I would see like a movie poster or something. Or like maybe like a teaser on TV or whatever. And in my mind, I would be like, that's going to be fucking awesome. That character's awesome. Even though I had no idea because I hadn't watched the fucking movie. Was it that? Or you watched the movie and still thought this character's awesome?
It's kind of not neither. I've explained it before and let's see if it makes any sense to anyone. Mm-hmm. It was...
Definitely not to... Nope. We're really trying to stop the outros.
It's hard, dude. It's really hard. Anyway, I watched it, thought it was boring as shit, super unfun and cool and uncool. And then Scholastic, like I don't know, several years later, they had those Scholastic book fairs at school. And, you know, we were freaking poor as shit, so I didn't have any money. They gave me like $5, which back then was like
gold mine.
Gold mine, guy. I would get like $1, and I would be like, holy shit, I'm gonna make this last somehow. Cut to 100 penny candies at Pops later. And I'd be like, that was a waste of $1. Anyway, got fringe class with that $5 and got this Swamp Thing because I recognized it.
Right.
That was the only reason. It was, oh, I know Swamp Thing and it's $5 and that's the only thing I can afford right now. And I guess it kind of looks cool. So I bought it and started reading that shit in the class and I was like, this shit's rules, guy.
Unlike the movie.
So yeah.
So your love of Swamp Thing is really fortuitous.
Yes, it should not have happened because I was already warned that this property sucked balls through the movie.
Yeah.
Through Wes Craven himself.
Yeah. So, by the way, I think the movie sucks. I thought the movie sucked when I showed you the movie. Only reason I owned the movie was because, especially at the time, I'm pretty big on completing filmographies. Yeah. And that's a Wes Craven movie, you know. And look, I love Wes. He's made some fucking classics in the genre. But, man... Really look back on his filmography.
Stinkers, yeah.
Mad stinkers, a lot of them, dude.
Shocker.
Yeah, Shocker stinks, man.
That's another movie you showed me even though knowing it sucked.
We were running through the Wes Craven filmography.
That was bad.
Anyway, fucking Swamp Thing I owned and I hated it. But at one point I showed it to you and regretted it. But
that led to me being like, oh, this is a freaking property I know of.
Right. Which led you to actually... seeking out comics beyond that little collection, because that collection collected the old school comics where it was more of a monster of the week type of situation, or the month, I guess, in comics terms.
Well, here's the weird thing about that too is that I was like a Swamp Thing fan of that era for like a long time, and then it wasn't until like somewhat recently, I don't know, like within 10 years, when I started reading the Alan Moore or the post Bernie Wrightson and then Alan Moore stuff.
Yeah. Which, you know, if you're not familiar with Alan Moore, written some of the best comics of all time and taken and reframed a lot of characters or tropes in comic and shit like that to be something bigger than they can be or are. And he did that with Swamp Thing. In fact, I don't really ever see Swamp Thing returning entirely to what it was before ever since he came along. And people have tried to imitate him and failed miserably sometimes. But the point is, he changed Swamp Thing and made it something of substance, which the movie really is not. So the movie's not really trying to do that either, though. It's trying to do kind of a monster era Swamp Thing. And that's could be a simple formula, but let's get this out of the room, dude. They did not have the budget to even make a cheap version of Swamp Thing, and that sucks. Boo!
Yeah, I think what makes the early Swamp Things, which is obviously what this was kind of based on very loosely,
yeah, super loose.
But cool is that they are like these kind of like big, grandiose ass stories of a creature going throughout the world, basically having bizarre adventures in places that don't seem like they belong in that time period. You know, they're like very gothic in style and shit. So take all that and put none of it in there, and you got this movie. It's, I guess, the first issue, the closest thing I would say to it.
I mean, the closest thing it does is like kind of provide an origin story, and not very well, by the way, but it's not anything like the comics. Let's just say that. It's definitely not like the Alan Moore stuff, so it's not even worth discussing that.
It's pathetic attempts. I think one of the most interesting things about Swamp Thing for me, all versions, is his kind of like inner monologue and his struggle of just becoming this monster and not being able to be human anymore. Of course, you know, amplified when Alan Moore came in and basically took away that remnants of the humanity and made it more interesting. But that was always the thing, you know. It's like a narrated story, and it's very interesting to hear him talk about his body rotting and feeling it, and it's like almost poetic in a way, the way he speaks.
It's an interesting mix of like introspective narrative, yes, and like almost like existentialism, but in a monster story.
Yeah.
And a lot of those elements did remain in Alan Moore, but he recontextualized the character completely. But that's a big thing for Swamp Thing throughout all his iterations.
Not only him, but his villains. Like there's that Patchwork Man, which is literally a man falling apart. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
Arcane, of course. Oh, man.
Take that element, and the way this movie represents it is by literally having him go back to where his lab was before he became Swamp Thing.
I cringed, guy.
Look at his old instruments, and because he's such a big lumbering giant now, he breaks them, and then he goes,
That's it.
And that's it.
That's not it. You do also get random shots of him in the swamp going, oh.
It sucks, dude. There is zero substance to this Swamp Thing. And the sad part is that you see a couple of scenes where they try to communicate that, and it's stinky, super bad, dude. I understand that Wes Craven was restricted in terms of budget, but I mean, come on, man. There's so much you could have done. Instead, this movie packs in like a seemingly endless sequence of chases. Dude, this movie is about running. Yeah, super not well plotted chases, dude. Like, a chase can be very exciting in the movie. I mean, Fury Road is literally just chases the movie.
Casino Royale had one of the best chases of all time.
Lots of great chases in cinema. Yeah. You know where you won't find any of those? This goddamn film, guy. Awful. Foot chases are the worst, too. And then, of course, when they're not chasing, they're just walking. And the scene in which they're walking, nothing is happening, guy. It's just literally, we could have cut to this person getting somewhere.
Yes.
We're just going to show them walking there.
There's a scene late in the movie towards the end because, of course, Arcane doesn't become a creature until the freaking last 2 seconds of the movie.
Last 10 minutes, basically.
By the way, Arcane,
the villain.
I just got to mention, one of the most freaking vile, disgusting comic book characters of all time. Literally got thrown out of hell because he was so gross. Mm-hmm. And then they make him into just a lame Aardvark guy. Yeah,
just a lame dude that wants a formula and takes forever to get it because he's got a bunch of goofballs doing his work for him, and they suck. And then he gets it, and then he's like, I'm an Aardvark now, I guess. Let's fight with a sword.
Yep.
And by the way, whilst we're fighting, my suit
It's gonna rip.
is gonna rip.
And constantly go from dry to wet from scene to scene.
Yes.
But anyway, there's a scene later on before I got sidetracked where Arcane is like, all right, I'm gonna take this freaking formula, guy. Become my inner self, I guess, or whatever.
Right.
And he freaking walks, guy.
He walks.
He walks for about, I don't know, like 95 minutes, I think. And then eventually takes the formula. But you're like, just cut to you drinking the goddamn juice, you turd! Now, we've made a freaking video where we called the original Swamp Thing one of the worst things we've ever seen. Or the part 2, I mean, Return of the Swamp Thing. Return of the Swamp Thing is funny. Return of the Swamp Thing is fun. Return of the Swamp Thing kind of at least tries to capture that feeling of the original comics. Fails,
miserably.
but it's something, dude.
Yeah.
This is dog shit.
What you could say about Return of Swamp Thing is that it's camp, and it knows it's camp.
Yes.
And it leans into that,
Lean Maze.
which is fine. That means, out the gate, you know you're not going to get a good Swamp Thing movie.
No.
But you also know that the person is self-aware that's making it. And if you know Wynorski, you know that all his movies fucking sucks. And then, that's it. So it can be fun to watch as a stupid piece of crap. But this one...
Also, it has a Credence.
It does. You know what this one doesn't have?
The Credence.
Any sense of fucking fun.
You know what
It's
it also
almost-
doesn't have?
Huh.
Any kind of good music.
You know what it also doesn't have anymore? Adrienne
Ah.
Barbeau's boobs.
Come on, Barboobs!
I'll give this movie one thing. Is they cast Adrienne Barbeau as your female lead. Now, granted, she's a character that's super uninteresting. And then they name her something that would suggest something
Yeah.
else that if you know Swamp Thing, you're like, well, that's clearly not that. But
Nope.
I guess they named her somewhat that. But anyway, the point is, it's not a good character, but it is Adrienne Barbeau. And she's always a pleasure to watch, even when she's in fucking turds. And also, a pleasure to watch because she's beautiful. That's it. That's the only credit I give to this movie, guy.
And you only get the side boob in this current cut.
Yeah, the side boob is the only... There was a lot of boob in this
Yeah.
fucking movie at one point. Current cuts only have, I think, I don't. Maybe the 4K doesn't, but it's only a side boob.
Also,
That's criminal.
an interesting factoid is that if you're watching this on Amazon,
Oh.
you're watching literally 1 pixel at a time.
Super bad transfer, dude.
It's like, what the hell? My butt looks better in this shit.
This movie was shot on cheese, I think, but still.
Yeah.
Oh man, they didn't even try.
There's moments where we're like, ah,
Yeah, it just
hurts.
distorted people's faces to look even worse than they did already.
yeah.
Effects, terrible.
The suit, guy.
The suit is just painted on to a fucking fabric onesie, and it's got this face that clearly was added on
Yeah.
after the fact. So it looks like the Scarecrow in Wizard of Oz, you know? Everything else has some sort of texture except for a stupid face.
Yeah, it's simultaneously the best part of the suit and the worst part.
Yeah, like you could tell they put work into the face, but it looks disgusting and not in a cool way. Bad, dude.
It's
I would
sad
say
when
that Arcane's aardvark version or whatever he's supposed
mean,
to be, it's mad cute,
It's
guy.
bad.
It's bad, but it's cute.
It's cute.
I'd
yeah.
pet him, which I shouldn't be able to feel
Yeah,
the need to pet
I
Arcane.
hate that, dude.
There's a
Anyway.
black kid in this movie that I guess
Oh,
was
yeah.
supposed to appeal to the younger audience, which I can only see a younger audience liking this movie. And then
Dude, it's so boring,
they're
though.
oblivious to quality at that point. It's the only way.
Like, kids don't have that attention span nowadays.
Kids watch garbage on YouTube that's pure garbage, like a fucking Frozen Elsa and shit. So maybe.
Yeah, but that shit's always like, there's always something happening.
True. Point is, in the 80s, not much was happening.
that's a good point.
So maybe it worked then, but I can't see any fucking discerning adult watching this and enjoying it, except I know some.
I gotta shit on our boy Spielberg for like.
He loves this movie, dude.
I don't understand. I literally was like, "This is dog shit,"
It's a dog shit movie, dude.
and he was like, "I like it." Again.
I respect whatever you like. I'm just
Yeah.
saying this movie sucks. For a guy that's literally in Hollywood doing
I think
Hollywood stuff.
That's what makes it so egregious. It's like, oh, you should have
I
a.
should know better, guy. This stinks. I don't care if Wes Craven directed it. I don't care if there's a iota of something there. When he asked me about it, I brought up the fact that, as a comics fan, this movie sucks. And he's like, yeah, but I don't like the comics. I'm like, oh, trust me, that's not an issue. I like a thing that doesn't remain faithful to the source. Unfortunately, quality has to be a part of me liking it in that instance. And this shit sucks donkey balls, dude. Sucks swamp water.
I would rather drink your swamp ass. I would rather watch the movie. I wouldn't want to do that. But
yeah, at least the movie's got Adrienne Barbeau.
Yeah, her titties. Although not really anymore.
Great rack back in the day. Just gonna say, John Carpenter hit that. That's pretty cool for him. But he messed it up. Classic Carpenter.
What did he cheat on her? What happened?
No, I mean it's Carpenter, dude. You know
he's just a grumpy turd.
He's just grumpy.
And she's grumpy.
And
so.
she's like she looks like she's grumpy all the time, which I love. But
I think that's kind of why I like her the most, honestly. About her the most.
That she looks like she's always mad.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that, dude. She looks like she was like a MILF before MILFs were a thing.
Kinda, yeah.
Right? You know, she was an older lady, but she was a scream queen, so a lot of nerds loved her. And I don't know,
unconventionally,
she had a mom look.
Yeah, like
you know, she has poodle hair, and you can be okay with that. Cause poodle hair sucks. It's a violation against
only
anything. What the fuck's wrong with you?
Only so. What's his name? Spivey can pull up.
Yeah, Spivey's pretty hot with his poodle hair. But Adrienne Barbeau is one of the few people that you're like, I don't care that she has poodle hair. She's smoking hot. Yeah. An aura of hotness about her, and a lot of it wasn't even physical.
I think it's just because she's cool.
She had you're not gonna fuck with me type of presence, which I love. But anyway, apparently our dog loves it too.
I would say that she's probably the best thing in the movie.
Easily.
But I also kind of like that black kid.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I brought up the black kid.
He's weird, dude.
He was kind of cool, guy.
He's super weird. His awful actor. His delivery is super bizarre.
Yeah, it comes off as like a well-traveled nonchalance to everything. He seems like he's got everything under control. He just kind of
owns a gas station guy, I guess.
Arcane has some cronies that just piss you off to look at.
Yeah,
now one of them is I forgot his first name. Don Hess, is it?
It's
Krug from Last House on the Left.
Bupkis, aka Ferret.
Yeah, Bupkis as you dubbed him, but he's called Ferret in the movie. And the other one is this curly from Three Stooges looking ass, dumbass, that has like a pseudo subplot.
What was that?
You know, they introduce him, and he's a criminal, fucking
scum
goon, and and then all of a sudden they introduce like the idea that he might regret some of his actions or have some sort of sympathy. Then they just kind of abandon that.
He becomes evil again.
Yeah, becomes mad evil, is relishing Arcane's evil plot.
Yeah.
And then he, becomes a fucking victim of Arcane's plot.
An unman.
An unman, and he's all of a sudden like sympathetic to the heroes, and you're like, this is such a bad subplot. Yeah. Like you can see.
It was so bad that it was kind of confusing, like, but in a way that you're like, was this intentional? Like was him like second guessing stuff intentional, or was it just like, I don't know, dude, it sucked.
I know, yeah, that definitely was intentional.
Yeah, but we were like, what is that?
It's the gap in the
gap
plot.
In the middle.
Like they just dropped that shit, and then all of a sudden, at the end, he's like,
that's why it becomes confusing, because you're like, what was the point of that shit?
Yeah, it's just. And you could argue maybe he had to trim that down because of budget.
You should have trimmed this movie down about 93 minutes.
Dude, if you cut out the shitty chases, this movie's like 1 second long. That's my rating for Swamp Thing.
That was us guy during the movie.
That's my rating for Adrienne Barbeau.
That little kid, man.
Let's see what your rating for Swamp Thing is. Yeah. Spin that boy. Mm-hmm. Oh, you rated Swamp Thing scream?
Yeah,
Yep, you do.
Coming back, guy.
Anyway, this movie doesn't deserve a rating, dude.
There's
a fucking sucks.
There's parts where he speaks. Sorry, I have to bring this up. There's parts where he speaks and his lip prosthetic completely separates from his actual human lip. So you could just see the man lip inside the...
And there's no way you didn't see that as a
just put a little glue
director or cameraman. Glue, or just, I don't know if it's just completely come undone and you're in the wild out there and you can't glue it. Shoot them in like dark, something, man. Exactly. Ghost whistle, roar, anything but what they did, man. It was just like visible as shit. And that's not to say that a movie needs to have great effects to be enjoyed. No, I mean, there's many movies we enjoy that have shit effects. But when it's a combination of fucking dull garbage and shit effects and hours of fucking running and or walking, by the way. I don't want it, guy. I wanted him to die.
I wanted him to die too, okay?
So this is one of the least cool Swamp Thing things ever of all time. I can't believe there's fandom for this. Again, if you like it, respect. And also disrespect. But,
Super dis.
but I just can't. No amount of Wes Craven fandom will make me say that this is good. He's made poop, guys. Shocker is poop.
Shocker.
I know there's a fandom for Shocker, and that shocks me.
Yeah.
But
as a kid, I was like, Shocker's garb.
It's garbage, guy. I can understand Shocker more than this, though.
Yeah, at least Shocker stuff happened.
At least Shocker, there's like a culty. There is kind of like a self-awareness to like the humor. I just think it sucks, the humor.
Dog Sackian.
But, so I can get people liking Shocker, even though it fucking sucks. This one I can't understand, dude.
Yeah.
There's nothing good in it. Nothing.
It's ungood.
So, yeah. Ungood is my rating.
Yeah.
Yours is Swamp Thing screaming.
Yeah.
Let us know what you think. I know there's going to be people who like it, and that's cool. I'm just saying, why? I want to know why. That was more Swamp Thing than the movie, guy. That was unmen sounds at the very least.
More angst.
Anyway, we're out, guy.
Yeah, we're out, guy.